I just want to kind of just frame the purpose of today's meeting. The purpose today is not really to review the airport project. The Design Council has reviewed that. Tim's well aware of that. We've seen this project before, the actual layout of the airport and the design of the airport, and we've given our recommendations and comments as it relates to that. Certainly when you're forming your comments, if it has something to do with design, don't, we'll keep them as part of the minute, but we really have sent a recommendation for it to move forward. So the design of the physical layout has already been complete. Today, what we're really trying to focus in on now is the artistic elements that were part of the project, and that's what they're presenting to you. Some of that has already been seen from the previous presentation about the history of flight, but the kind of details of that is here today to you. So that's really the focus of our meeting today. So that just bring it into perspective. I'm going to turn it over to Victor, and you can introduce people, and on we go.
Thank you, John. Good morning, folks. Victor White, Director of Airports. After almost 10 years, we're finally ready to build the terminal building. With the City Council's approval, very recently we have gotten to the point where the schedule is right before us and things are moving very quickly. The plans and the specifications are at the printers as we speak, and we hope to begin advertising for bids in about mid-December. We're targeting that period, and then have a pre-bid meeting in early January, and then open bids late February, I believe. Is that correct, Pat? Yeah. Late February or so. So that means that we could start construction, have groundbreaking for this project by early summer, late spring-ish time frame. So, and then you figure about 3 years or so from then it should be finished. So things are starting to happen. We appreciate the support of everybody in the community that's gotten us to this point. So we're ready to go. Therefore, I will turn this over to Phil Hannon. He is the architect for our project, and Phil will introduce other members of the team as they each come up to present their little portions of it. Thank you.
Thanks, Victor. I am with HNTB Architecture. We are the lead architects for this project, and we're happy to be moving forward. Just quickly to give you some background, very quickly on the layout of the airport, just for reference as we move into talking about the art. The new terminal building will be right here. The existing terminal is right here right now, and there are a few parts of that will remain. These roadway configurations are partially complete at this point. There will be surface parking and a new parking structure out front. Curbside drop-off for the terminal building will be right along here. And then as we move into the building itself, again, the curbside drop-off is up here, ticketing at this end, baggage claim at this end, and then access up to the mezzanine and security checkpoint in the center. All of these areas back here are support back at house areas.
Talk a little loud.
Okay. The upper level, the main public area before you go through security, before you go through security is right here, mezzanine area, security checkpoint, and after you go through that, the main concourse area with each of the gates scattered along that. The intent with the design for the airport had been for it to be a forward-looking building incorporating elements related to the aviation heritage in Wichita, but also addressing new technology as well. And you can see that with material uses, shapes, including the sweeping metal roof on the terminal. There's a view from the air side, and the garage is just kind of a placeholder at this point. And then I'm going to let Wes Crosby, who's also with HNTB, talk a little bit about the interior design.
Like with the exterior, the interior architecture of the space was inspired by aviation references, and I won't spend a lot of time talking about the floor making that we did in the interior, but a lot of the exterior elements found their way to the interior. So the terracotta that's on the exterior forms is brought inside, stainless steel panels, terrazzo floors, patterning inspired by the contrails of air. We're looking through the ticketing lobby right now, and you can see the mezzanine in the foreground with the history of aviation exhibit on top of that. So this is retail in the center part of the airport. You can see the Wichita and Air Capital of the World signage across the face of that mezzanine. Ticketing right inside the lobby. This is going through security. It's a daylit space. And here we are at the gates and holding area. And then I think that's my last slide. We'll let Sonia.
Great. Hi, everybody. So you arrive at the top of the mezzanine and you're greeted with this historical display. And it's actually 6 wing-shaped pods with a centerpiece. And here's kind of what you're greeted with. Each one of these pods is internally illuminated, and they're 9 foot by 11 foot, so they're kind of large, glowing, and each panel will tell a different segment of Wichita's aviation history, starting from the early birds through why Wichita helped win the war and through all the current OEMs, and just a lot of fun facts. The facts on these historical displays have been vetted and checked by a committee of historical aviation enthusiasts, a lot of publications. We did an online forum, and everyone was kind of adding their input to this, and so it was very collaborative, and only the best, brightest photography and stories survived. It was brutally edited. The center panel kind of tells everybody why Wichita is the air capital of the world. You know, it's flat, you can land anywhere, and Clyde Cessna, all these innovators, and of course, oil money was looking for a new industry to invest in. This is kind of one of the panels and just kind of what they'll look like. Colors inspired by the fuselages that Spirit produces, both the primer green paint and the iridescent blue color that is the protective coating. And we didn't want it to just end on the mezzanine, so when you embark into the concourse, there's going to be almost 60 feet of exhibitions. These will be very large scale, talking about the rivalry between Clyde Cessna and Walter Beach and the monowing and bi-wing, all the different aircraft that have been built in Wichita, why wings work, and so I think these are just going to be bright and not a lot of information. People can capture the information when they're walking through the terminal very quickly. But really what I want to talk about today, and what we're here today for, everybody's seen that stuff, is the public art portion of it. You know, we felt like the graphic design covered the history, and we wanted to, and the public art was going to kind of talk about the future of aviation in Wichita in maybe a more abstract way. So I kind of want to recap the artist selection process. We had our design team reviewed over 100 portfolios internationally. We narrowed that to 25 of kind of the strongest contenders, and those were all vetted to make sure they were all working, people had good experiences with those. We selected an artist selection panel, which Patricia was on, and this panel came together and reviewed those 25 portfolios. And the selection panel included not only stakeholders in the community, but experts in the community as well, architects, artists, as well as city council. And it was debated, everyone voted, and Ed Carpenter was a majority winner of the competition. And the reason why everyone liked Ed so much was he has vast experience in large-scale public art commissions internationally. He was just telling me about some work he's done in Japan. He works in a new material, dichroic glass and light, and he uses kind of aviation materials like cables and fuselage-inspired struts. And that's a new material for the city of Wichita's art collection. And we have a lot of bronze, we have a lot of other things, but we don't have anything that's built using light. So we were very excited by the materials. But the biggest reason was just Ed's pure aesthetics. The group fell in love with the flight metaphors of his work. And now I'd like to introduce Ed to talk about his proposed concept for Wichita.
Hi, pleasure to be here. When I came before, I was delighted to receive the challenge that Sonia and her group gave me of not only addressing your new terminal, but also of somehow doing something that would have a strong resonance of flight and that would be a reminder of the aviation history in this community. And so we visited the Aviation Museum, we visited Spirit Airframe. I met with the design team, learned all about how they had designed the building, and met with Victor and heard about the politics of it all. And so to me, this whole complex mix of challenges is why I'm involved with public art, because I like working with people, I like problem solving, and I like trying to understand how to do something that fits a client's budget, that will be permanent, easy to maintain, and also that will make their building be better for what it was intended to be. And so this is some of my past work. I'll talk about that first before I talk about my proposal. In general, I try to address the heart, and then the eyes, and then the mind. So I'm trying to do things which have a resonance, but also have a metaphor. But the metaphor is not necessary to decode the work. That a lot of the times I'm working in situations where the work is seen in passing by. You only see it very fleetingly. So it's important that it not be a riddle, that it not be something that's intimidating, that it be accessible. And for me, it's initially about the feelings that you have in encountering the work. And then there's a treat for the eye, many different layers and levels of scale. And then finally, there's usually a metaphor involved that is a treat for the mind. And they can be taken in that order. These materials that Sonia mentioned, with dichroic glass and aluminum, stainless steel, cables, and so on, are really a result of trying to address the sweet spot of a site. A lot of times the sweet spot in a site is up in the air, where I have to get the work in order to interact with the light. And so in order to do that, I have to use efficient lightweight materials and light interactive materials. So for your lobby here, I wanted to be able to address as much of the lobby as possible. It's a little unusual in that it's all on one level. You got, so it's a very long lobby with, as Wes said, there's ticketing at one end and baggage at the other. I didn't want to just do something in one area. So I wanted to make the largest possible gesture. And what you can see here, this is an elevation view, and this is a plan view. This is a 300-foot long gesture through the space, suspended by slender cables in such a way that it reaches up toward the light that will be coming in from a linear skylight all along this wall. And so in this zone in particular, where it's closest to the wall and where it's closest to the skylight, there's an opportunity to interact with that light. And so I'm using dichroic glass, which projects one color and reflects another and looks different depending upon your angle to it. And it's a very mercurial and fascinating material. And I'm making this very lightweight gesture through the space. So it's meant to provide something for passengers who are arriving and passengers who are leaving, or people coming to pick up people. It's for everybody. And it's not a literal depiction of anything from aviation, but it's a suggestion, obviously, of aviation forms, and it is flying through the space, quite literally. So it comes up over the display area that Sonia just described to you, and it is suspended off these points on the wall and off two columns, one here and one behind me over there. And that's it. That's the entire suspension of the piece. And all the materials are very slender and lightweight, and should have a real feeling of buoyancy and of airiness, and they're very transparent and very much in keeping, I think, with what you're so proud of here, and justifiably so.